Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we will be looking at the song Take Me Back to Eden from the album Take Me Back to Eden. So the day has finally come, we have made it to the title track on the album. So just as a reminder, this is a continuation of a series I've been doing on the entire album. So if you want to watch those, make sure you go check out the playlist and we'll go ahead and jump right in. Better buckle up. The song is 8 minutes and 20 seconds long, so grab a snack, grab a drink, and we'll go ahead and hop in. We do have a visualizer for this one, which is a lot of fun when they do these, so it's nature sounds going on. This makes sense coming from Rain, where there was a lot of like rain in the background.
I dream in phosphorescence, bleed through spaces, see you drifting past the fall, but no one told you where to go. We dive through crystal waters, perfect oceans, but no one told me not to breathe. And now the weightlessness recedes.
A lot of this intro reminds me a lot of This Place Will Become Your Tomb, their previous album, and the way that it's really taking its time, just plodding along at its own pace, giving some room for Vessel's vocals to really take effects with some synth kind of or pad effects in the background to kind of accent. Also, the lyrics are very reminiscent of This Place Will Become Your Tomb in the second half of the verse here, or intro, whatever you want to call it. And just the visual of this figure kind of being lit up as well. Kind of looks like a sunrise to some degree, especially with like the birds chirping in the background at the start.
My those eyes like fire. I'm a winged insect. You're a funeral pyre. Come now, bite through these wires. I'm a waking hell, and the gods grow tired. Reset my patient violence along both lines of a pathway higher. Grow back your sharpest teeth. You know my desire. All will travel far beyond the path of reason. Take me back to Eden. Take me back to Eden.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. There's that sound I really love from Sleep Token. Just roaring guitars, synth or piano melody in the background. We've got Vessel doing his like high notes on the like that like falsetto high note thing that he does. Sounds so great. And we are 3 minutes through this thing already. Oh man. I feel like just with Vessel, he's one of those special vocalists that I could listen to him sing just about anything. He just draws you in. Doesn't matter what's going on in the background. Of course, the instrumentals are great and the atmosphere they deliver, but his voice alone can draw you in. Just let's keep going. Let's keep going. Brought us back down. Rumbling going on in the background.
Well, yeah, I spit blood when I wake up. Sink porcelain stain, choking up brain matter and makeup. Just 2 days since the mainframe went down and I'm still messed up. Room feels
Piano
like
and trapeze, let's go.
dangling like cold cuts, missed calls, answer phones from people I just don't trust. Mirror talk, fake love, but I'll take a pound of your flesh before you take a piece of my pay stub. White roses, black doves, godmother, rise up. I need you to see me for what I have become. My, those eyes like fire. I'm a winged insect, you're a funeral pyre. Come now, bite through these wires. I'm a waking hell and the gods grow tired. Reset my patient violence along both lines of a pathway higher. Grow back your sharpest teeth, you know my desire.
Man. That's such a cool way to recontextualize that chorus. Oh. Some birds chirping in the background, very calm.
I guess it goes to show, does it not, that we've no idea what we've got until we lose it.
So we're in a completely different feel now. I think we're in a different key. I haven't really been able to pinpoint when. I guess I have to look up the chords that are being played by the piano, but it kind of I think it changes key in there somewhere. That's kind of wild. So I don't know if we call this a bridge or what, but we're completely on something different now.
We've no idea what we've got until we lose it.
Like you got to get the lighter out.
No amount of love will keep it around if we don't choose it. And I don't know what's got its teeth in me, but I'm about to bite back in anger. No amount of self-absorbed fury will bring back the glory of innocence.
Oh man.
Eyes like fire, I'm a winged insect, you're a funeral pyre. Come now, bite through these wires, I'm a waking hell and the gods grow tired. Reset my patient violence along both lines of a pathway higher. Grow back your sharpest teeth, you know my desire.
God, that's such a good chorus. This song has a very, very weird structure, but I like that the through line here is this chorus, which we'll look at the lyrics of, because it seems to be the main focus of the song here. So we have it stripped down, kind of just synths in the background. We had the same kind of we had the same chorus in the trap section, and now we get it in the full on like metal instrumentation version of it. Very powerful. My God, I don't know how they have constructed this song. Keep getting back to it and make it impactful every time. We get the chokehold call back. God dang. I just want to punch something when this is so. God. It's fading out. That's such a simple but effective riff there. Just rhythmically intense. We get one of those screams that we have learned that Vessel can do on this album from songs like The Summoning, right? Just fury in that. It's just a nasty scream. Gosh. What a way to end the song. This is where I think that you can really use harsh vocals like that to great effect. They saved it for the very end, as Sleep Token is known to do, to give it one last impact. If he had been doing that the whole song, right, it would not be as impactful. He's using that technique as a tool. Gosh. I don't even know. What are those guitars even tuned to? I couldn't even guess. Oh, man. All right. Well, let's take a look at the lyrics. That was intense. So I'm sure the lyrics will be just as intense. I'm kind of wondering with the intro lyrics. So I told you I thought that the intro sounded a lot like This Place Will Become Your Tomb in style. I think if we look at what's going on here, we have I dream in phosphorescence, bleed through spaces, see you drifting past the fog, but no one told you where to go. I wonder if this is not trying to like bring us back to thinking about sundowning in some ways. Like maybe I'm reaching here, but like brain fog, maybe like because sundowning is, if you don't know, kind of if people with dementia, they kind of like lose themselves when the sun goes down. That it gets worse. So maybe like brain fog. There's this like I don't know. For some reason, when I read this, I kind of envision the Sundowning album cover. And the same thing happens on the second verse. We dive through crystal waters, perfect oceans, but no one told me not to breathe. Now the weightlessness recedes. I imagine looking at This Place Will Become Your Tomb's album art whenever I see this. For obvious reasons, right? Oceans, waters. He talks about holding his breath a lot. And This Place Will Become Your Tomb. And then the next little bit kind of quite obviously and literally brings us to this album, Take Me Back to Eden. Let's talk about this chorus, because I think it's interesting. He says, my, those eyes like fire. I'm a winged insect. You're a funeral pyre. So, what does that mean? So this may be kind of playing with words to bring about the phrase like moths to flames, that kind of thing. He's attracted to sleep, which I think we are talking about sleep again here, especially with these references to the previous albums. I think that are here. We've brought back our subject as we're talking about sleep. And it would make sense that he thinks that she is a funeral pyre. Death for him. Come now, bite through these wires. I'm in waking hell and the gods grow tired. So we get bite. Okay, so anytime we see bite, I think we know we're talking about sleep. If you've listened to any other sleep token, there's a big fixation on biting, teeth, that kind of thing when we're talking about sleep. The wires is interesting because I don't know if it's kind of like the electrical wire analogy that we've been getting in previous songs, or if we're talking about like wires like on a puppet, like holding him, suspending him in this waking hell. He says, reset my patient violence along both lines of a pathway higher. Which is interesting because the whole album has been kind of about, has had this violent undertone that's been there specifically in the first half of the album. But here we see the violence return. Grow back your sharpest teeth. There's the teeth. You know my desire. And I wonder if he's not recontextualizing sleep biting into him to say, like, instead of biting into me, why don't you chew through these wires and set me free instead? I think maybe that's what's going on here. And then, of course, we get, I will travel far beyond the path of reason. Take me back to Eden. So what does this mean? I think this is essentially him wanting to be set free, right? To return to innocence, the real world. But, you know, we've got Eden, I think, is supposed to be juxtaposed with all of this, like, computer metaphor that we're getting in this album, where Eden is, like, natural and real, and all the talk of, like, algorithm, digital demon, stuff like that, it's supposed to be, like, artificial. So he wants to get back to the real world, get back to his real life, get away from this. So take me back to Eden. And then we get the trap section, which I think is very interesting, because I think we're going from, I think we quite literally are waking up in this section. Like, this whole first part up through the Take Me Back to Edens is kind of him grappling with sleep, and here he's quite literally waking up, and as you can see, he's not having a good time. It's a very unfortunate state that he's in when he wakes up. What I wanted to focus on is he says it's just 2 days since the mainframe went down, and I'm still messed up. So we get this computer imagery back, and I think what he's talking about is kind of shutting off sleep. If we want to think of her as this artificial being, and this is the emotional toll that it's taking on him. We get some interesting lyrics that seem to point to paranoia. We've got, it says, missed calls, answer phones from people I just don't trust, mirror talk, fake love. I'll take a pound of your flesh before you take a piece of my pay stub. And I think all of this might kind of go back to what we were talking about with Rain, where he's in this vulnerable state. And I think if you're vulnerable in this way, you might have this kind of paranoia that comes with it. Because if you're not, I mean, anyone can take advantage of you if you're in this bad of shape, I think. So maybe that's what that lyric is getting to. White roses, black doves. It's kind of interesting imagery there. Not necessarily good imagery. Godmother, rise up. This I don't really know what to make of. we don't really have. I don't think we've ever seen Godmother used before. I don't know if it's talking about sleep. I kind of doubt it. But if it is, maybe I need you to see me for what I have become. Maybe it's him pleading with sleep to, like, this is what you're doing to me, maybe. I really don't have too much of a good theory on why that's there. Um, then we get the course again. Then we get that weird key change. And these lyrics are pretty impactful in the song, I'm not going to lie. Even if they're a little cliche, I think it brings to the forefront kind of what's going on. He says, I guess it goes to show, does it not, that we've no idea what we've got until we lose it. And no amount of love will keep it around if we don't choose it. Which I think there's a lot of ways you could interpret this. Like, he may be literally kind of opining about his ex who died, right? Maybe that's what's going on here. And I don't know whether this is him kind of like looking to the future, because like I talked about in Rain, I think he has another love interest here that he needs to move on, and if he wants to be with her, he obviously is going to have to leave Sleep behind. Or he may be agonizing over his decision that if he doesn't keep choosing Sleep, she's going to be gone. I think there's a couple ways you could think about it. And maybe it's the second, because the next lyrics are definitely talking about Sleep. When he says, I don't know what's got its teeth in me, but I'm about to bite back in anger. Which this, to me, is a very powerful part of the song, because it shows that fight that we want to see in Vessel, because he needs to break free, right? We want to see him get better. We want him to get angry. Not himself, right? No self-sought fury. But to break free from Sleep's hold, right? No amount of self-sought fury will bring back the glory of innocence. The realization that him hating himself is not going to be the cure that gets him where he wants to be. And I think we're getting to this visualization of him turning this violence that he's shown towards himself outward. And we see that once again in the chorus when he says, reset my patient violence along both lines of a pathway higher. So, of course, we kind of get the callback to Chokehold to kind of bring the album full circle a little bit. So now we're back to imagining that figure in Chokehold who was standing there with a giant weapon. In Chokehold, though, I think Vessel envisioned himself as a guardian, but now I think he's turning that around to become the aggressor. I think maybe that's why we're getting this callback in this way at this moment, right before everything gets super heavy, and we have what I imagine is him snapping. The reason we're getting this yelling, this insistence, take me back to Eden, not pleading, but demanding. And I think what I imagine in my head here is the final kind of act of violence on the album. He's maybe like swinging a scythe or something, fighting back for himself, really fighting back, not halfway doing it, but ending it with Sleep. Now, the specifics of that violence, I think we're going to talk about more on the next song. So I'll save a little bit for that to tell you what I think happened with this violence that we're talking about. Let me do what I always do for the end here. Take a look at the figure for this song. So I think there's a few things we can notice here. We have what looks like the Grim Reaper, obviously, the symbol of death. We've got the scythe. We've got kind of the hood like we would normally see. But what's interesting is this appears to be a female figure. I think this is Vessel finally kind of seeing the final form of Sleep, just death incarnate, coming, or eventually going to end him. It's interesting that we get the wings too, because it kind of gives us that like maybe angel imagery, but death is definitely here as well. And we do see this kind of adornment thing. I don't know what to call it. This like ornament that's like hanging off the end of the scythe. The hands kind of look feminine, so I think that's how we can kind of tell. And if you look closely here, I'm not sure if these are supposed to be wires coming out the bottom. I kind of think maybe that's a little bit what we're supposed to take from it. But I also see what looks like the end of a snake tail, which brings us back to what Sleep looked like in 4. Which is probably here somewhere, right? Okay. Maybe it's not on this page. Either way, it looks like the Vor figure. If it is a snake tail as I'm kind of envisioning it there. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But either way, I think Vessel has recognized Sleep for what she is, right? A funeral pyre that he is drawn to that will kill him. So he's fighting back in his last stand against her in this song. So this is definitely kind of the biggest multi-part epic song that we've seen from Sleep Token so far, in my opinion. Powerful stuff. Definitely the climax of the album. We'll get to the next song on the next video, the final song of what has been an incredible trilogy by this band. And I'll kind of go over where we sit, but where Sleep Token sits as a band, I should say. So I hope you'll join me for the conclusion of Take Me Back to Eden on the next video. Let me know if you get the same things from this video as I do. Maybe there's parts of the song that you like a lot more than I did. I think, I don't know if this is my favorite song on the album. It's definitely a contender. It's epic. It's like proggy, which is what I like to see. It's progressive in its structure more so than the individual elements, but I consider that progressive. Yeah, so like the video, subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, go check out the playlist if you want to see the rest of my reactions to this album. And I will see you on the next one.